So hi, I'm Jess, and have been working at Esri now for 5 years. I'm currently a GIS consultant in professional services, but I started out, as Adi said, at within the grad scheme, so 2 years within the grad scheme. But before I start talking about my route through Esri, just want to give a bit background on what professional services and what it is that I do. So very quickly, professional services are a group of people who essentially engage with customers to understand their requirements from GIS and design and deliver software and services to them. And then GIS, so professional services is made up of many different people. It's about 100 people at the moment as a team. It's one of the largest within Esri UK. And there are lots of different roles within that, which I will go into more detail later. But a GIS consultant, which is what I do, is essentially the person who goes on site and engages with the customer and helps actually deliver the software that has been designed by other folk within the team. And so part of that role is essentially traveling, so turning up on site, meeting new people, engaging with them about technical things, within GIS, but also being able to use the software and install the software as well. But lots of things that I never thought that I'd be doing 5 years ago, or even throughout uni. So I will now go through my route to Esri. So I'm from a small town just south of Manchester. I, like everybody else, it seems, had never heard of GIS until turning up at uni, where I did a BSc in geography at Leeds University. Did a couple of GIS modules, a couple of modules that involve GIS and a few remote sensing bits and pieces. Really enjoyed it at the time, however, found it really difficult, which I think from a lot of my peers seems to be a similar experience. So with that, yeah, I found it quite difficult, but towards the end I really enjoyed it, and so I therefore applied to do a master's in GIS, basically just down the road in in the same campus, so didn't move too far for that one. But within that year of master's, not only kind of understanding the theory of GIS and the application of it, but also got to broaden skills into programming and development, something that I never thought I'd get involved with. Whilst I really enjoy doing GIS, I never see myself as being a technical person. However, being able to do modules in programming at university was really useful and opened my eyes to that side of things. And again, before actually starting at Esri, I thought that my GIS world was essentially ArcMap and maybe a bit of WebGIS, which is what the programming helped and kind of open my eyes to, but I didn't really understand the full offering of kind of software that is out there, and specifically what Esri offers. So then what did I do? I went to a careers fair actually towards the end, well, like March of my master's, and went one down in, it was, where is it? UCL. Met somebody from Esri UK who told me that there were what Esri was, and also what the graduate scheme was, and told me that I should apply because I had the background of like programming and the masters. So that the kind of masters, the GIS, the geography undergrad plus CV writing and an interview, stressful process, eventually saw myself down in Aylesbury in the south. And one of the nice things about going last in presentations is that most of these things have already been explained, but essentially here's a list of the different rotations that I rotated through. For me, it was a great chance to see what Esri does as a company. So you go through all the different departments, meeting new people who will then essentially support you going forwards in whatever you end up doing at Esri. And the last department that I rolled through was professional services, and it combined all that I really enjoyed about working at Esri, which was being engaged with the technical side of things, but also on top of that, the kind of working face to face with customers, which I really wanted the two combined, because sales was really kind of that was the nice side of things, where you were able to speak to customers and understand their problems and help solve them. However, I didn't think that I had the gift of the gab to be able to do sales properly. So professional services was the kind of the nice combination of tech and customer engagement for me. So then I ended up, well, basically at the end of the last year, just to explain the kind of process of moving from the grad scheme into the wider Esri world, a couple of roles started to come up in the last year of the graduate scheme, and our line managers asked us what we wanted to do, and kind of offered up that we would basically what I just said there, and like what we like about the job. So they, kind of guide you through the process and listen to what you have to say. But essentially, I ended up going for a role within professional services. Within my cohort of 4 grads, 3 of us ended up in professional services, 1 in sales. Each year it seems to be completely different, the breakdown of it all. But yeah, so we ended up in professional services within the academy. So that was a new space that they created for us. Well, not for us, a new role that they created, which essentially is like a transient period between, or role between, being either a Esri UK graduate, but also potentially being a graduate elsewhere. So if you've got a year or 2 experience, you're newly graduated, then going straight into professional services academy is also potentially a route for some people, because this space gives you, I think it's designed to have 80% project work, so that's working with the customer, delivering software and things like that, and then 20% time to help you learn, so whether that's self like learning, self teaching, or official training, things like that. So you've got a bit more space and time to work out what it is that you want to get more expertise in, and actually develop the experience in those spaces. And that is one of the sort of kind of building on what Hayley and Hannah said about the grad scheme. The company is very good at listening to what you have to say and sort of developing your own route through the company, tailoring it to exactly what you want from the company, as well as what you can give the company in the roles that you're in. And the academy was kind of came out of that. It developed because people found that it was a bit much going straight into professional services from the graduate scheme, so they created this kind of this new role which had a bit more space and time for you. So a year of that, and then I graduated from that, so second graduation within professional services, which Adi alluded to earlier, and then went into the GIS consultant role, which was very much a very similar experience to the academy. The only difference is that you're kind of not protected as much. So with the academy, they make sure that the projects you're on are kind of shorter, quicker engagements. You've got a good team you're supported as much as you need, which is still the case when you're a GIS consultant. However, you've got the experience in that role to be able to kind of go about your days by yourself, almost. So yeah, that was the only slight change. You end up working with larger customers and for longer. So to go through a couple examples for mine. So one of the elements of being within professional services as a consultant is that you do end up traveling quite a lot to go onto customer site and help deliver the software and work with the customer face to face, which for me is one of the great things I like about the role, because you actually get to work with people, and it's a very nice group of people that you end up working with. That customers, GIS folk, always seem to be quite nice. So you end up meeting new people, which is great, working with them or alongside them as part within their team for long periods of time potentially. You also get to see a wide range of customers, so a wide range of use cases of people actually using GIS, which I don't think you'd get anywhere else in another kind of GIS role in another company, which is one of the perks that I like about it all. But there is also the kind of slight downside to the fact that you're traveling a lot, so you can be out 3 to 4 days a week all over the country. So I've selected a few points here of examples of where I've been in the last 3 years in my role. And they can also be of varying lengths. So, for example, I've been to Bath for 3 days to install and configure some web GIS for an environment agency. So that's a couple of days engagement. And then on the other end of the spectrum, down in Southampton, I was based there for 3 years at Ordnance Survey, 2 to 3 days a week, for 3 years, installing and working with them as part of their team to develop a new editor for the editor to basically create their GIS data. So essentially what makes the maps, which was an excellent experience, because it was like having a second job almost, in that I was working for the OS but as Esri, and seeing a project start and then develop and grow and the team get bigger. It was a really brilliant experience, and yeah, it has really helped me develop a lot of my not only technical skills but also the soft skills as well, so customer engagement, all that kind of side of things. However, obviously there is like a downside to that, in that it was 3 days a week in Southampton when I lived in and around this area here of the southeast. It's a lot of travel, but yeah, you make do basically with that. So not only within Esri, there's like professional services, there's the project travel. There's also the chance to travel for conferences. So three of the there's an example of conferences that I've actually presented at, similarly to James and the others. But so I've presented 3 times at the one in the UK, so down in London, and then in 2017 I was able to go to Berlin at the Developers Summit and present there, which was something that I never thought I'd end up doing, because I don't see myself as a technical person, let alone a developer. But to go and present on open data and how you can develop open data sites within the Esri platform was wild, looking back on that now. So that was a great opportunity to go over to Germany with work. And then last year I was lucky enough to be chosen to go to the UC which is the user conference in San Diego. So that's where all users from all over the world of Esri software gather to see presentations on the stuff that's coming out, the new software that's coming out of Esri, which was a really great experience. And like going back to what I said about the software, like my kind of understanding of GIS at uni, I only thought there was ArcMap. So to then be sat in a room full of 10,000 people being presented on the various sort of up to 600 products that they have and what's new, was a wild kind of realization that I had of kind of how far my understanding of GIS has come. Also, to see how far the tech has come, because at uni, not necessarily working with the most up-to-date versions, and with that, you then not working with the most recent functionality. So within Esri, you always have access to them, like all the features and functionality that are coming out, and sometimes even beforehand if you're lucky enough, like Bong and his team tend to be. So with the conference, I found a few photos. For doing this presentation, I thought I'd try and find pictures of me at work or at uni, but none of them are essentially me just working or learning. It's always, unfortunately, drinking. So these are a few photos I was able to find. This was a small selection of the people that actually ended up going to the conference in the UC last summer. A pretty nerdy photo of me on some stairs, but it was a pretty classic one that everybody ends up getting. And then pretty much buying all the swag with my colleague Val at the end. But it was a really great week and a fantastic opportunity, which most people get a chance to go once in a while. So that's probably my one go at it all. But yes, so moving on in terms of my future. So now that I'm in the GIS consultant role, this is a very basic picture of the kind of the jobs that are available within professional services. So I came in down here at the Professional Services Academy. Here you kind of get the opportunity to then see and experience all the roles that are available across the department, and you do get the opportunity to potentially go into but also the project management side of things. So the left hand side here is all the technical kind of the groups that are delivering the software and understanding the software, and then the ones on the right here are the ones organizing those deliveries. So technical and non-technical essentially, and throughout the graduate scheme you don't necessarily get an experience of project management, so in the academy you can tailor it if you so wished to see whether you'd enjoy those areas. But so there's various routes that you can take, and you could jump around and get, hoover up all the experience that you wanted. For me personally, I'm trying to go down the technical side to basically, as I said, hoover up all the experience on that, and then could potentially move, if I so wished, years down the line into non-technical roles to be able to provide that sort of side of things into project management or even sales if it happened. So yes, that is essentially my GIS career. Thank you very much for listening.